In this video, we'll composite 3D model and animation into video, use After Effects and Maya. Alright, so now let's drop in our background footage and let's create a composition for it. And as you can see, this video is a 1080 HD video, and here's a frame rate. So we're going to reference it later. And select this video in this layer, and we're going to go to the top menu, animation, and track camera. Once it's done, you'll see these colorful points, and these are the tracking points. Alright, so here we're going to create a track camera, and then let's create a few low objects as the reference point, and later on we're going to place model on it. So place your cursor on any of the spot you want to create a model. Right click and create a null. Okay, so repeat this process. Right click, create a null here, and create a null at here, a null object here, one at here, maybe one around here. Alright, so now if I select all of them, and here are the tracking points, the tracking node I've created. Right, and maybe I want to create one at here, so I'll select the background footage, press E for effects, and select this 3D camera effects, and then I'm going to right click and create a null object here as well. Here we go. And maybe here one more. Alright, once you have done this process, and let's rename all these null objects. So here I'm going to say track, I'll just remove that space. Track null 1, 0, 1 for name convention, and here's 02, 03, 4, and I've created 13 tracking null objects. Okay, so that's the first step. Now let's go to save our project, and I'm gonna save as, here I'm gonna say demo step 1. Now we'll link After Effects with Maya, so I'll go to Windows, Extensions, and open Autodesk Maya Live Link. So if you're using the NAB computer, we already got this installed. And if you're using your own computer, let's install the plugin. If you Google Autodesk Maya Live Link, you should find this page. Alright, and you can just download and install, and you'll need your Adobe ID in order to install the extension. And then after you install the plugin, when you go back to After Effects, you should see this one. Right, and now you can see that it's not connected. So we'll open Maya, and in Maya, if you go to File, and you will see Adobe After Effects Live Link. So this plugin is installed by default. You don't need to install anything. So now if I open it, you can see that it's connected to background conversation, which is in After Effects. And if I switch back to After Effects, now you can see that it's connected to Maya already. Alright. So now I'm going to select the track camera and all of the track low objects I've created, and then drag and drop it here. So now it will be updated to Maya. So now if you switch back to Maya, okay, if you switch back to Maya, and you should see this camera and all these small objects. So these are the track low objects we created in After Effects, and this is the camera. So here's the timeline, right? And if I just click on the timeline and drag, and you can see the camera movement. So that is the camera in After Effects. So here's a few things we have to do before I get started. As you can see here in Maya, the frame rate setting is 24 frames per second, right? And in After Effects, as I mentioned earlier, see here's the frame rate of our background composition is 29.97. Alright, so that's to see. First we have to go back to Maya, we have to change the frame rate to 29.97, so that will match our After Effects project. And second time is the length of the video. Okay, as you can see, if I switch back to After Effects, the video has 14 seconds and 26 frames. So if I open calculator, here I already calculated the number. So if we have 14 seconds times, let's say 29.97, so that is about 420 frames, right? 420 frames plus 26 frames. So the total runtime of our project should be around 446 frames. So now if I switch it back to Maya, so here we need to get that time, so 446 frames. Right? So now if I grab my timeline, and you can see that here the animation keep going, and here it ends at here. Right? To be safe, I can get a longer time. I can type 450. Right? See, the camera stopped at there around 446 or 47. So that will make sure we have the whole time for our project. Right? And then what I want you to do is so if I scroll down, so if you scroll down here, you see the tool menu. Okay, so click on that, so it will open the double-side window for your project. Alright, and then for left window, I want you to click on panel, go to perspective, and select this one. So this is the AE After Effects 3D track camera. So now if you select it, you are looking from that camera's perspective. Okay, so if you click on here and empty spot here, so you are activating this window to preview. So now if I click on play button, you can see this is okay. So this is what we see from the camera, right? Let me pause. So this is how it looks. And if I go back to After Effects, and this is how it looks, right? Those are tracking low. Right, so now that means if we place any model into the scene and place it on this marker, and we render it, and we can composite it with our background footage. Then let's say if you click on any of this window and hit space key, you will full screen that perspective. And space key again, you're gonna jump out and show the two window display. Click on here, space key, enter that, space key to exit. And then I want you to go to tool menu display and heads up display and check on camera names. So this will show the camera name, so which view the camera is. Okay, so this is from the After Effects camera, and this is from the perspective camera. Okay, and then for orientation, so if you hold on Option key, which is Alt key on Windows, and then with your mouse left key, you can orient around. And then still with the Option key and with your mouse right key, you can zoom in, zoom out. And with Option key still checked on, and then use your mouse middle key, you can pan around. Okay, so that is the orientation tools. And then I want you to also go to Windows and check on Outliner. So basically the Outliner is the file hierarchy. So these are all the objects that is in your project, right? So this is the camera from After Effects, and these are the track loads. Alright, so next I want you to go to the assets folder and bring in the science fiction building model, the OBG model, and drop it onto the perspective camera window, and we'll import all the models. So now if you go to Outliner, you should see these buildings are imported, right? So by default, this building should be huge, right? Should be huge. And what I want you to do is select all of them and then scale them down. To scale them down, you can use R key, hit R key on your keyboard, or you can just use this button. Click on this button on your tool menu, and then click on the center square. You can scale them down on both X, Y, and Z. Okay, and here I can also go to this tab. You can click here to open or close. So this is the channel box, and basically we can manually type a value. So here let's try 0.02 for XYZ and smaller. Okay, now you can see we can see that in our After Effects track camera window. Now let's move these buildings to these track nodes. So I'll go to the outliner and select each of the building, and if you hit W key for a move tool, or you can just click on this button on your tool menu, and you can move them to different spot. And then we can zoom in, and you can hit space key to full screen, so it's better for us to look in the scene. So we can place our first building to here. So what you can do is hold down V key while you're in the move tool, hold down V and then move it, and you're going to snap the building onto these markers. Right, so now let's select the second building, VK, check on, and then you can snap it onto one of these markers, and you can see how it looks in here. Right, so we can move the building, snap it to different spots. Here, maybe here, and here. Alright, so if we jump into the After Effects window, and this is how it looks. And if I switch back to After Effects, as you can see, we got our frame in here. However, in Maya, we don't know where exactly the frame gonna cut. So what I want to do is click on here, this button. So this is the render setting. If you click on that, and here you can check on auto render, or if you're on Maya software, that's fine. It doesn't matter which one you are on. Here for image format, let's check on JPEG, and this setting matters. So for the image size, I want to set HD 1080. Okay, so that is exactly the same image dimension as our conversation in After Effects. Alright, and renderable camera, change it to the After Effects track camera. Alright, so make sure these two spots you set it correctly, and then close the window, and then go back to the After Effects track camera window, preview window, and go to the view and go to camera setting and check on resolution gate. Okay, so this will turn on the resolution gate, so that is exactly the same as what you will see here in After Effects. Right? However, as you can see, the perspective is a little bit different. We are looking the ground at a specific angle. However, if I zoom into Maya, as you can see, all of the buildings are straight. So what I can do is I can select one of these buildings and rotate it this way, tilt it this way, right? So this is After Effects, so buildings supposed to be in this way. So you can experiment with it and to see what degree, what angle is the best. So here I feel about 24 to 30 degree on the axis, it should be good. So here I'll just do about 26. Okay, so copy this value for rotation X and paste it to all of these other buildings. Okay, so double check you get all of them, and then this is how it looks. Okay, and the perspective should match with what we see in After Effects. And then, as you can see here, we have more markers. Okay, there we have more markers that hasn't been used, so we can just duplicate these buildings and place them there. Right now I kind of feel the grid is a little bit annoying, so I can just go to show here and check off grid. If you scroll down to the bottom of the menu, you should see that. So check off grid, and then select some of these buildings. Okay, so here you can see it in outliner. So I select the building F and hit Command D to make a duplication, and then hit W key for move, and hold on V key to snap it to a different spot, and then use R key, use the E key for rotation, so you can tilt it to different angle, so it will look different from the track camera's view. And then I can select maybe this building and hit Command D to make a duplication, W key for move, and V key to snap it to the back, and hit E key for rotation and rotate it to a different location, different degree. And then here the same, so I'm going to repeat this process. And here we got one more, so I'm going to duplicate this one. Actually, here we have two more, so I'm going to maybe duplicate this one. Here one more, so I will duplicate this one, or maybe that one. Alright, so now we get 13 buildings in place, and we can full screen and check how it looks. And also don't forget to save your Maya project. Here I will also save it as demo step 1. Okay. Now let's drop in the spaceship model into the scene. Right, and also it's a huge, so we're going to scale it down. Okay, so if you go to different time, you can see that the window is set to the default position. Right, so maybe we can just go to the perspective view and scale it down so it could be easier. And then going to changes orientation, and we can move it out from the window. Right, so here let's create some animation. So if I go to frame, maybe frame 100, I want it to fly across the scene. So at frame 100, here we can create a keyframe. So to create a keyframe, select the model and hit S key, and then you will see that it created a red line at here at 100 frame. So that is a keyframe. And then if I go to frame 180, and I can move it to here. Right, and then I can hit S key again to create another keyframe. So now if I play, if I click on the track cameras window, okay, and if I play, you should see how it looks. Right? Since the animation just stopped here, and if the camera keep going, we should still be able to see the space shape. So I want to net it to fly a little bit farther at about 320 frames, and create another keyframe. So now this is how it looks, and this is how it looks in the After Effects camera's window, fly out of the screen, and never come back. Okay, so now let's get this shot back to After Effects. So since this is the first lesson on this, I will not let you to do a full render. So the full render is another story. So here we'll just do a test render, a draft render. Right. So in order to be able to use the test render in After Effects, we'll have to create a green screen here in the background. So go to the top menu, create and polygon primitive and a plane. So this is a plane. And then we can use the scale tool to scale it up and place it underneath all of the buildings. Alright, and make it a little bit bigger. And then I want you to go to Windows and Rendering Editor and Hypershade. So Hypershade is a place where you can create all different materials and textures for your model. Just to let you know. Here, let's create a new material, a number material, and let's name it green screen. Okay. And here down below, I want you to change the incandescence. So if you just click on this window and pick up a green color, a green screen color, okay, and then for the main color, just drop the slider all the way back to black. So this will make this hue material as the green screen color. So now we can select the plane we have created and right click on your green screen material and assign material to selection. So this is how it looks. Okay, and then we'll select this green screen and hit Command D to make a duplication and move it further. And then I want to rotate this way. And we can just go to this window here. We can change the rotation X to 90 degrees. So this will cover the background. So now if I if I double check, see here we have a gap. So we may want to make this a little bit bigger and also bring this one closer to the buildings so it'll cover the whole building. So just a double check, make sure we cover the whole background. Okay, and then enter the 3D camera's view, and then you can just click on empty spot, make sure you are not select any of these objects. So next step, we're going to do rendering. Here, double check the render setting, right? Make sure here preset as HD 1080 and the renderable camera set as the After Effects track camera. Alright, and then we'll go to Windows and Play Blast and click on here, this is square, which is the options. And here are the settings I want you to change. So time range set as a time slider, so it's going to render the whole time slider. And check on view and here. And also the format change to AV foundation and encoding as a H264, so this will be rendered as a video. And I also want you to check on save to file, so this is going to save this project. Scale set to 1, so you're going to render 100% of the resolution we have set here from render setting as well. And then you can change a name and then change it to a location. Okay, and click on Play Blast, so you're going to render. Once it's finished, you should see your video here, and you should also find the video under the location you send it to, and then we can go back to After Effects. Okay, and here let's save it to step 2. Right, and for step 2, I'm going to drop in the Play Blast render I just done. So this is the draft render as I mentioned. Right, so let's drop in this video into the scene, And as you can see, this is the film gate, which is the frame, right? So let's go to scale and scale it up and let it match the frame here. So I experimented with it, so 130 should be a good number, so it will match the size of the window. And then let's go to here for effects, and let's get a key light effect and get rid of the green screen background. And if you play, you should see that. Here, let me change it to quarter preview. So now if you play, you should see that all of the buildings will stick on the ground. And here we get some animations. Once you are satisfied with it, and you can go to File and Export, add to Adobe Media Encoder, and we can start to render. So that's the whole workflow for compositing 3D models and animations. Use Maya and After Effects.